December 19th. Jesus is our Passover lamb. 1 Corinthians 5:7, Paul says, "Cleanse out the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you really are unleavened. For Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed." So Paul is wanting them to lean into sanctification, to cleanse themselves, because Christ, he is their Passover lamb, and the Passover lamb has been sacrificed. So he's taking Old Testament imagery, and of course that Passover lamb, it would have brought the people back to the Exodus. You remember the Exodus event? You had God's people, they're in slavery, they're in bondage, they have a Pharaoh, they're in Egypt, and they need freedom. They need release. And so God sends Moses, and through 10 plagues, but that final plague was that the angel of death was going to come into the camp, come into Egypt, and kill all of the firstborn sons of Egypt. But the people of Israel were given a way of escape, and that is by a lamb. That they would kill a lamb, and they would put the lamb's blood on the doorpost of their house, and the angel of death would pass over that house, and the firstborn son would be spared. And so that was known as the Passover, where a lamb died so that God's judgment would pass over the people of Israel. And here Paul is bringing in that imagery to say Christ, he is that Passover lamb, and he has been sacrificed. In other words, hey, cleanse yourselves because the Passover lamb has been slain. And so what we see is that this rescue from Egypt, it led them out of their slavery and captivity through a Passover lamb. And Paul's bringing the imagery to say, hey, the same is true in the New Testament people, that we have been released from slavery. It wasn't to Egypt or Pharaoh, but it was to sin and death, that we've been rescued. We've been ransomed from our death and sin. We've been brought out by a Passover lamb who is Christ. Through the blood of Christ, we have escaped our captivity to sin and death. So just know this, Christian, today, that as you walk through Christmas season, I know we're getting ready to be really close to Christmas time, but just remember that you have been set free from your sin and your death through Christ, who is your Passover lamb. God's judgment has passed over you, and you now have his favor. You have his song singing over you. You have his love, his covenant love in your life because of Christ, the Passover lamb, who died to set you free. So because you're free, live as a free person. Because if you remember our forefathers, Israelites, they constantly wanted to go back to Egypt even though they were free people. And we also constantly want to go back to our old sin, our old patterns, even though we are free people now. So let's not look back to Egypt. Let's not try to go back to the ways we once lived. Let's instead keep our eyes forward towards that promised land, that place with God, that we're going to live with him forever. Let's remember we are free, and today let's live free because Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed.